Welcome! In today's video, I'm going to show you today all my seed starting supplies and my seed station, which I have in our unfinished basement, to walk you through what I use to get my seeds going and to get my growing season started off the right way. Everything what I'm showing you today here is bought by my own money and I've used it, made experience with, otherwise I wouldn't recommend it. I would love to hear from you what you are using in the comments and if you have any questions regarding anything I show you today. So let's start with the seed starting supplies, or with the ways I start my seeds. I have 3 ways to start my seeds. The main way these days, what I use for seed starting, is my soil blocker. This is a 3/4 inch soil blocker and makes really cute little cubes of soil blocks where you then start your seed in. Why I love soil blocking so much is, number one, it is very, very space efficient. This little press makes 20 soil blocks for me. So with 20 soil blocks, I can start 20 seedlings. This is on a very, very small footprint. So it's very, very space efficient. And if you have, like me, just one growing rack, mainly where you can use and grow your seedlings along, you want to think about how many seedlings you can fit in this space to really keep them happy and grow along. The other very important fact for me with the soil blocks is nothing needs to be cleaned after except for the tray, because there is no plastic pots. I love it. I hate cleaning, story of my life. So anything what can save me plastic and work after the season when I'm already tired of gardening and really don't want to do anything but rest, soil blocks help with that as well. Once those soil blocks or the seedlings in those mini blocks are growing to size and might need a little bit of a bigger place to grow on, this is where this 2-inch seed blocker comes in. This has indentations on the blocks, so it makes a little indentation in the new blocks where then those little blocks fit in like magic, and it's very satisfying to do so as well. And then they grow on in bigger blocks. Once they need to be sized up, then it starts to get very, very big with the space as well, but I don't pot up many of those mini blocks. So for that reason, this is a really great way to be just space efficient with your seedlings. So that is where I would say grow, 90% of my flower seedlings in, and a good number of my vegetable seedlings. So you will see that when you're following me here on this channel, how I grow different seeds in different versions. And then the other one is the Epic 6-cell tray. This is a really beautiful tray for seed starting as well. It has airflow slits on the sides that helps with the seedlings to not get root bounders. So like whenever roots hit air, they basically signal the plant to redirect and recircle internally, and that always results in a better root system. And they have also holes on the bottom, so it's really easy to just give the seedlings a little push from the bottom up to get them out of the trays when it's time for planting. So really, really great. And they are also really, really sturdy. If you're looking at Amazon for like seed starting trays, they're all like the cheapest plastic you can imagine. Who knows what's in that plastic as well, right? Those ones are made in the US responsibly and really, really solid. You will have that for a lifetime. And then the third one is what I also love, is the Grow Ease Seed Starter Kit from Gardener's Supply. This is in really, I would say, and they actually say it on the packaging, a foolproof way to start your seeds, because it comes with a water reservoir where you, when I put that up, so you have here a capillary mat, and then you have a little riser here, but this bottom tray is in water tray where you're able to put the water in the capillary mat, wicks it up and provides the water to the seedlings, which sit on top, and it even comes with its own humidity dome. This is a full starter kit, and I wish I knew about that when I was just starting out, because this is really, if you're just starting, go with that, because this is the easiest way to have a full system. Don't stress about water, have enough space, and you most likely won't need to pot up your seedlings from that cells, because those are also a little bit bigger. So if you compare this, for example, with the size of the Epic 6 cells, right, they will need to be potted up eventually. Those ones you can get away with keeping them, or keeping most vegetables in here until it's time to actually put them in the garden. So this is a very complete set. Where do I use that one from? So this comes with 12 cells, but also double the size with 24 cells. I have also 24 cells somewhere downstairs. I used that last year to grow on my onions, because onions don't like to be potted up or anything. So I want to keep them low fuss. So I got those ones, had them just sitting there growing, got a haircut every once in a while. But other than that, that was really perfect. And when it was time to put the onions out, that was really, really easy to do with them. I don't need like 24 cells with onion seedlings in it, so I got the smaller one for me this year to just be a little bit more space efficient. As you will see in my growing station later, space efficiency is important when I grow that many seeds as I'm growing for my garden. So those were all the items I used to start my seeds, but of course you will need a little bit more equipment to really successfully start your seeds. So for example, let me show you what is really important is do not ever get cheap trays. Do you hear me? Never. If you think it's a good deal, it's not. You will hate it. So always go with the really good quality trays, because why is that important? You will have later on all your babies, all your seed babies in here, and they get quite heavy. And for those 2 weeks where we do hardening off, so shuffling those seed trays in and out to get them acclimated to the outside world with wind and real sunlight and all of the above, right, you will shuffle and go back and forth with those trays a lot. Not my favorite week, but we got to do it to keep the seedlings safe. In this week, if you work with cheap trays, they will break, they will bend, they will fall. You just don't want it. Trust me, go with the Bootstrap Farmer trays. They are the best. I love them. They are not the cheapest, but they are worth every single penny. So do that. And then from the moment you have a good tray, what you also want for the phase where the seeds are germinating, so when they are just getting started, you also want to have a good humidity dome. So I have here a large or a tall humidity dome, as you can see, because I'm growing in my seedling station with LED lights and they don't need to be lowered. If you have, or if you work with shop lights or lights which are not LED lights or not really super strong lights, and you need to have them close to the seedlings, I would recommend to go with a lower humidity dome, like the typical ones like from the Gardener's Supply set you saw. They're just that high. Go with that. For these ones, they work with all seedlings and I just don't need another humidity dome. They work perfectly fine for me in all cases, from the teeny tiny soil blocks to the larger seeds like my cucurbits, which I start as well inside against all recommendations, but that works just better for me. So my cucumbers and my zucchinis and squashes, and so they get all in teeny tiny head start, but in bigger pots because they are quite tall. So that dome fits all of my needs at once, so that's perfect. And what they do, what they have as well, is little ventilations. So if you are ever concerned that humidity is building up too much, you can open the vents a little and that helps as well. So, and then you just put your trays in there and everything is fine. Once you have this all set up, then where you want to place your trays on is typically a heat mat to get them started. Depends a little bit on the seedlings if you truly need a heat mat, but for summer loving vegetables like tomatoes or the cucumbers or peppers are the ones where I use a heat mat for germinating, and then take the seedlings off the mat or off the heat source. It is called a heat mat, but don't think it's like something like a heated blanket or something. It's not that hot. I was at the first time when I used them concerned that I'm creating, I don't know, a fire hazard or something like that. It's not that. It's really only there to lift or heat up about 10 degrees Fahrenheit compared to your ambient temperature. So it's really not that much. But nevertheless, do your own research. I use the ones here from Vivosun. Those are the ones which fit one 10-20 tray perfectly. But I actually switched last year to one large heat mat, which you will see in my grow station, on just one tray, because it was easier to just deal with one heat mat than a lot of different ones downstairs. That was just me making it more easy for me. But depending on your needs and the space you have, that single heat mat is also perfectly fine. Cool. So let's look at my grow station downstairs. So this is my grow station. This is set up in our unfinished basement, so please excuse the crappy lighting situation. It's impossible to get good light in here, but I will walk you through the key elements which I have here. What you see here is in wire rack, which I can really highly recommend for many reasons, which you will see shortly. That wire rack is really great to put in hooks and everything. So to hang up those grow lights is really easy. To attach things to it, like the isolation background, which I use here to keep the seedlings warm and cozy for the summer seedlings when I start those, because it's unheated, this basement, as it's unfinished, so no heat. For that reason, it gets really cold here in January and February. At the moment, it's not that cold, which is untypical for us. We have some strange weather going on this January. But usually when the temperatures dip more in February, it's really important to make sure you isolate the temperature here as good as you can. The one question which always comes up first when you talk about your grow station is, what lights are you actually using? I went through a full journey of finding those lights, which we are seeing here right now. I could show you the box, and no, I don't have it accessible right now. I've reorganized some things, but I have a full box of lights I tried and I didn't like, and put them away. So don't be me. I would recommend those lights. I used them last year for the first season and they were amazing. They're all LED grow lights. They are not expensive but also not cheap, but I'll link it all in the description so you can judge the price for yourself and your budget. Why I went the LED route though is they are on for a very long time, so I just want to be conscious of like energy and like just resources. So they are really, we didn't see a bump on our energy bill when I started seed starting, so that's a good thing. Nevertheless, if you want to have something easier or cheaper or more accessible, which doesn't need to be ordered online, available, you can also just go into any department store, or not department, like Home Depot or Lowe's, to get those shop lights. They do just as fine. The downside with shop lights though, you need to have them close to your seedlings. The LEDs function this way with more power, that you can just have them on the top and the seedlings are perfectly fine, which is awesome, because for me personally, one little hassle less when I start my seeds is a good thing. So that was one of the main arguments why I also went with the LED route. What you will see here as well is that I have 3 next to each other, so they have a really good coverage for this rack. And one little thing which is really cool is, it's a little hack I learned from Joe Gardner in his Master Seed Starting class, is to put some, not exactly sure how it was called, but this is basically drawer insert stuff, like the plastic you put on the bottom of the drawer. You just roll it out, because like, I'm not sure how you water, but when I water, I'm a little bit more like gracious and sometimes things drip, etc. So you want to make sure that no water drips like on the next level on your lights or any other things. It just keeps it a little bit more clean to really ensure that you don't have anything zipping through those wires. So that's really cool, and you can just like cut it to place for you. So that's really great. The other thing which I really like is that I have here in the back, that I just found by accident, but I really loved it. Again, it's getting cold in here. If you have a nice temperatured grow room, or a room where you put up the grow rack, no need for that, right? But if you have problems with keeping your temperature, that is something what I can really highly recommend. This, it's just like this aluminum insulation, which you'll find in the Home Depot aisle, like where they have all that like padding and like, what is that aisle? Where you find all this insulation stuff, like the wood wall and stuff. That's where they have it, just in rolls. And I'll completely put it around. I also have some to really close it down, almost like a grow tent, which is cool. And what I did is I just put command Velcro straps through it so I can attach it and detach it. Yeah, I think you conquer the world just with command strips and zip ties. So yeah, when we look a little bit further, you will see in the details I have S hooks to put the lights on. This is just easy putting them on. When we look a little bit deeper, you have here a heat mat. You'll see already my Lisianthus babies on this one, which is really, really exciting. I don't start any other seeds that early in the year except for Lisianthus, and that is what they benefit from, my undivided attention. So for that reason, those are already here. It looks like they're on a heat mat, but the heat mat is detached or unplugged, so there's no heat for them. They just need a little bit heat to get going, and then they'll prefer it cool, which also works very well in this basement. So, but that has worked out very well for me to dedicate like just one shelf for the heat mat and have all the other 2 shelves for the seedlings who are already germinated. So I basically rotate around when heavy seed starting season for me begins, because that is then all the ones which need to germinate sit on the heat mat in trays, and then once they are germinated, they come to a level which doesn't need to be heated again. So that's a little bit the rotation and the principle I do, and yeah, that is pretty much it. I can show you. I prepared. I can fit 4 of those trays in here. Wait for 1, 2. Yeah, exactly. 3 and 4. And this is how I usually start my seeds up, with the germination, with a humidity dome in that area. What also works very well with this wire rack is to provide some ventilation. So I have just these clip-on fans, which once the seeds are germinated, I provide there the ventilation to really keep them and have them grow strong. Okay. What is really, really great is to have a really large power strip very close by and use those plugs for Wi-Fi, so you are able to schedule when the lights go on and off. Those are really, really handy. I love that. All right. I hope you really enjoyed this video today. It was a little bit more technical or a little bit more detailed in certain areas, but I hope you enjoyed this. I would love to hear from you what you use for your grow station. Do you have a grow station? Or if you have any questions, so please leave me a comment below. The next video next week is going to be about all the cut flowers I am planning to grow on from seed for 2023. So I'm really excited. I did a video last week about all the veggie varieties I am planning for this year, and now we are doing the same for the cut flowers, and I'm really excited to show you my plan. All right, so if you like my content, please subscribe and watch a little bit more. Thank you.